I'm telling you right now, Project Helios is what the military is calling this right now. Okay, and so it's not just that. I found out why the sun has been pulsing so much. We got all this stuff coming up, but you got to see how they're just wanting the UN to intervene with this whole sun crisis, the artificial sun. Let's go ahead and let you hear a little bit of what they're saying.
But there's also the risk of conflict, things like climate refugees, border conflicts, and we're hearing about the possibility of water wars. Is there a role for UN peacekeeping? Should the UN system be prepared for that eventuality if it should occur?
Well, climate change definitely has an impact on conflict, and it is certainly directly or indirectly one of the important drivers of conflict. You have a scarcity of resources like water or land. You obviously have a source of tension, and we're seeing this in many situations in which peacekeeping is active, particularly in Africa, where most of these situations we see conflict between herders and farmers, and they're really conflict about natural resources. Now, I believe that what we can do and what we are already doing in some of the mission settings, some of the countries in which we operate, is to help diffuse or prevent tensions that may arise because of the impact of climate change. For example, in South Sudan or Central African Republic or Mali, our missions are helping in trying to diffuse tension between farmers and herders, particularly during certain month of the year.
All right, so boy be gone. Next part we want to get you into is the process of what has actually been operating through the sun, the so-called sun. So many things I just found out that literally we're going to tell you exactly how things are operating, and we're going to tell you what's in the sky pulsing. And they're talking about using 4 suns at this point now, and they're telling you exactly how all of it operates and everything. So we're about to get you into it now. We haven't seen 4 suns, but we have seen 3 suns. Here's a clip of 3 suns. I'm going to talk about it. It says, so there is a need for solar simulators, and it says the spectrum are higher when you multiply the intensity with multiple suns. And it says solar simulators are complex devices. Multi-solar simulators elevate challenges dramatically, making them much more costly and less common in the market. So it goes in to say, let's read it here with you. The vast majority of multi-sun solar simulators rely on xenon or metal halide gas discharges. And it tells you how the bulbs degrade over time. So moving forward from that, guess what else they're talking about? They're talking about where we're about to head to, and they actually explain the solar simulator market and what's all about to go down. Before we get to what's all about to go down, and then they literally admitting why the sun is pulsing in front of our eyes. So many videos about the sun pulsing recently. We're going to play that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tell you what they're saying. The solar simulator, also known as the sun simulator, is a device capable of providing illumination nearly equal to natural sunlight. There are 2 different types of solar simulators, such as steady state and pulsed solar simulator. Am I lying? No. It's right there. Look at it. Read it. I'm not lying. I'm just telling you what they're actually putting out here. And they're saying pulse solar simulators may be single pulse or multi-pulse solar simulators. Steady state solar simulators have 1,000 hours of continuous operation, while the pulse solar simulators have 40,000 to 1 million flashes. Okay, so you're telling me we're seeing flashes in the sky because they're the pulsed solar simulators. Now, this is finna get critically deep because the military has a project called Helios, and that basically is operated off of a Greek god, and we're going to get into that, and that's a sun god. So what was seen over basically South Dakota, we're about to get into that here in just a second, was this. It was actually a solar simulator. It was seen back in 2020. And why am I bringing this up? Because now this videos coming out about how the sun actually looks, how they actually look so different now, and how you can see this hexagonal figure. And let's take this look right real quick. So you look at the figure right here, and then look at this Masonic art, and it shows you that little circular object in the middle, right? Because the Masons put this down, and the bottom had a checkerboard floor. So what's the difference between that and this? There is no difference. And then check this video out where people actually have been showing you the sun looking like a hexagon. And so, I mean, that's not the sun. I mean, you think you're really looking up now and you're seeing the sun, and then these things are pulsing, and it's the simulator. So this is one of the huge reasons why, and it's other videos of the sun looking like an actual square. That's not the sun. That's not the sun. So what in the world is really going on here? It's different objects up there that they're projecting at us, and you can look at all this data, and you can show people all these videos, and they're like, oh well, you know, this probably ain't really a sun simulator. You're crazy. But it doesn't matter if they think you're crazy, because at this point, you're not. And we've showed the information, we showed the data. You can see at the Department of Atmospheric Sciences Skycam, you see it there too. So we're getting deeper down into this because there's a project called Helios, and this project is highly important, and it's a documented file that the military is talking about now that they're going to be going after. Like they're doing a super good prediction tool. So are they looking at deities coming from the sun? Because Helios, like I said, is a sun god. That's what he was in Greek, and stuff like that. And you can see it all here. He came down with chariots, all of that crazy stuff. And we just been constantly seeing videos of objects coming out of the sun. And we're going to get deeper into the scenario because they've got documents out, and I'm going to put you into those documents here because this is like basically an exclusive intel report that nobody else is going to put out to you. And let's move down into what they're actually saying about this project. This is just recently, November 1st, they put it out. The byproduct of solar flare often is disruption to satellite equipment, payloads in particular. So he goes in to say, David Brewer, U.S. Air Force Futures Center 3 Integration Innovation, who is leading Michigan Air National Guard team, Kelly Johnson, a center to create solution. The team is collaborating with Western Michigan University and Air National Guard Weather Unit to develop operational use of an algorithm paired with high-performance computing system to predict solar flare events more than 36 hours in advance. But when I read the documents to you, they're not telling you they're going to give you a 36-hour advance on it. So that means the military is going to get it, but you're not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. We ain't going to get it. So the thing is let's move forward into the situation because we got it all here. They let out a document, and it's actually called Helios Solar Storm Scenario. So I don't think it's just a solar storm. I think that it's probably some solar deity or some object that potentially would come from the sun. So when they move down into it, we're not getting into everything. We're just going to go, and we'll leave the documented files down later. So let's just look into the scenario. And they talk about geomagnetic storm, the warning time, 17 to 90 hours, the duration 1 to 2 days, and they're telling you how much radiation would be in the atmosphere. Now I'll let you read all that after you can come back and watch the video a second time. I know I'm moving quite fast here. And they're telling you the direct effects that's going to hit the economy as well by this system you're seeing here. So we're going to actually read the scenario though right here to you here in just a second. So over a 48-hour period, large number of sunspot groups display heightened activity on the sun. Solar Terrestrial Relations Observatory detects these changes. And heliophysicists and National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration take special interest in the sunspot group. So this has already basically been simulated. Let's just tell you like this. I'm going to read back into it. Technically, they're already talking about the simulation of it. So obviously all these simulated events that we're describing to you right now are the events that this project will deeply weigh on. And the conflict with the UN and everything else, all that stuff, they want that intervention because that's going to be the easiest way to get to America's shores. Think about it. Ain't nobody uprising, ain't nobody doing nothing, ain't nobody trying to fight back against tyranny because we already got the guns, and everybody's just like, well, when it comes to us, yeah, well, they're going to just hit us with artificial suns and weather wars and stuff like that, so they never have to worry about that process. And moving back into the scenario, it says the hot gas cloud. Let's move to the arrival at Earth when it goes there. It says the hot gas cloud charged particles from the first moderately sized CME is identified by the Solar Heliospheric Observatory. So remember that. So they hoes. But anyway, the Advanced Composition Explorer Global Geospace Science Wind Satellite Deep Space, and it says providing 30 to 60 minutes warning of its impact. So they're like 30 to 60 minutes of warning to impact, and then it bombards Earth's magnetosphere until it forces reconfiguration of the magnetic field lines. The software-directed interplanetary magnetic field and Earth's geomagnetic field connect efficiently. Overall, the shock forces Earth's magnetic field lines to drape away from the sun. This is like them actually probably simulating in my mind. Then the first charged particles from the second, much larger, faster CME arrive at Earth, emitted only 20 hours earlier. Consequently, billions of tons of gas containing charged particles intensify and shock compress to form Earth's magnetic sphere. All right, and they talk about also, it was another file in here I got to put in because this is all real stuff. Even though you might be laughing and you're like, haha, it's funny. And I mean, I ain't really trying to be funny, but it's just a reality of how they might sound simulating it. Let's move into this part. They talk about the economic impacts. They say we will lose trillions of dollars. It says this scenario is a stress test for managers and policymakers. Stress tests are important for understanding risk exposure across extreme systematic shocks as proposed in Cambridge taxonomy threats. So, global supply chain disruptions are conservatively estimated from about 0.5 to 2.7 trillion across 3 scenario variants. So, the solar storm has a global GDP risk ranging from 140 to 613 billion across 3 scenario variants. So, again, why would they not try to use that as an operation tactic against us? So, this is really the heavy load information, and I had to dive deep to go and look for it. Now, most of the time, the information just sits there. YouTube doesn't do anything with it. But you, however, can do something with it. You can get the information out, and you can really make this an issue and say, hey, look at the video on JWTV, Helios. Just go look it up. It says last video. Go search it up or send it to somebody and let them see exactly what's going on. So are they preparing for some ancient deity coming from the sun, or is it just a solar storm? Because they literally name it after that deity, and I think that's esoteric to what actually is going to be happening. I'll put a playlist link here, and then also you can donate to support the help. They'll be in the chat room. I thank you for all of you tuning in today. We'll have much more